Hello and welcome to the absolutely beautiful Portaferry. I'm down tonight to do a demonstration in the Portaferry Art Club, but while I was here I thought I would get the opportunity to get some footage of this beautiful place. The idea is that I get something and then we'll paint it together back in the studio whenever I'm home, but it's coming towards sunset, so I'm going to send the drone up now. It's quite windy, so slightly nervous because there's water everywhere, but this is a beautiful place. So come on and let's check out Portaferry together. Isn't this an absolutely beautiful place? Looking around even at the houses, remember Ballamori, the children's programme? Beautiful coloured houses, and we've got the ferry just about to leave here, which is just moving across, and that ferries across from Portaferry here on the arm of the peninsula across to Strangford, and it's got its lights on, which is really lovely. So what I'm going to do is take a few pictures, probably of some of that sunset just across there over on the Strangford side, and we'll attempt, no we won't attempt, we will paint that on the way home. And just look at that sunset back there, isn't that beautiful? So let me get a few pictures and then I'll see you back in the studio. It's just lovely to be down here. Look at this cozy little inn. Nice to have your dinner in there sometime, wouldn't it? Right, let me get these pictures and we'll see you soon. Okay, so that's the lino printing demo done, and it went very well, and it actually looked like what I hoped it would look like, so job done. Right, so I've showed you the area. I have done a little drone video of the area, which hopefully you've enjoyed as much as I enjoyed seeing. Gorgeous place. I've got the reference image that I want to use, so we're going to go home now, and then once we're back in the studio we'll be able to do a watercolour and ink painting of this. So let's get back home and get this done. Hey, we are back in the studio and I have printed off this little shot. This is of the Portaferry Lough, or the Strangford Lough, and what we're going to do is I want to tackle this one quite nice and quickly, and we're going to do it with very simple colours as well, a little bit like the video that we did of Green Island and the road, but I'm looking forward to playing about with a Sailor Fude Mannon pen, or Fude pen, and with the carbon ink in it, and we're going to just tackle this and see where it goes. So come on and let's tackle this together. Beautiful, beautiful place, isn't it? So let's go and play about with this reference image together. Okay, so here we have the scene. Let me pull it up a little bit closer for you. It was an absolutely gorgeous evening, wasn't it? And being able to capture that, especially with the drone working to see the ferry. So we're using this Sailor Fude Mannon, or Sailor Fude Mannon pen, and it's filled with carbon ink. The thing that I love about a Fude pen is that it is just so wonderful to be able to make the different marks, and holding it this way, it's actually a little bit like having a flat edge brush, and then also being able to turn it over as well, to be able to get some of the, now that wee line's a little bit off, but we're okay with that. Let's move it. I'm going to take that across here. Now there's the ferry actually in this. Now I'm just going to capture it really very simply, and just by like making simple marks. I want to do this really quickly as well. Sometimes I find that whenever I'm working quicker, the work has a lovely quality of line to it that if I am much more considered, then it's just not really there, you know. So it's really nice just working fast with this. It's a really, really simple scene actually, with just a few different lines of the jetty coming in there as well. And I can move the pen on the side like this just to be able to capture a little bit of a thinner line here, and then being able to get more the jetty across there, and then it's coming across this way as well. Just a few of those simpler lines across there too. Just bringing them out there. And then this is a little bit more detail on it, but again, I'm just moving quickly and noticing this quickly to be able to try and get just a nice quick capture of the scene. And this is a nice thick line here that's going across also at just a little bit of an angle as well. Let's get that in there too. Okay, so there's I actually think what I'll do is just use the Fude pen to just bring in some of this here. The main focus of this is going to be the sky and the water, and hopefully we can get that quite simply. Now I want to get a simple, try and hide the signature in there somewhere. We'll call on 25. And that is all of the line work that I want to do. Now we're working on A5 Seawhite of Brighton, and it is their cold press paper. Let me just show you the front cover of it. This is Seawhite, and it says that it is versatile paper, medium cold pressed, internally and externally sized, neutral pH, which is great. It has on the other side of this more like a kind of a canvas feel. So tonight the paints that we're going to be using are my Windsor and Newtons, and I'll keep, looks like that's quite nicely in shot there. So I'm going to use a flat edge brush for some of this, and I might actually use the smaller flat edge. So let's go with this flat shader by Simply, it's number 12, and then my beloved little sostrene green for the sky. So let's, and actually I'm not sure whether we'll use it for the water. Probably just going to be more using it for the sky. Now I can see that there's a little bit of shininess still here, so just while we're waiting on that drying, I'll just be careful. So this is the cerulean that I've got here. I'm going to take the ultramarine, and then sorry, I thought it was on a different palette. Isn't it interesting how you begin to know where things are? I thought it was the Daniel Smith there for a second. So just going to take a little bit of the Payne's Grey in there. So I'm going to lighten it up again a little bit more with the cerulean. Okay, so let's get some of these. We're going to again working nice and quickly, because that's what we're looking for with this, is to get the kind of feel of what's going on. Now, they could have worked this in layers, but I rarely ever work in layers with the sky. So why change the habit of a lifetime? Now what I'm going to do then is drop lots more pigment across. Actually, let me move that over slightly so we can get a little bit more to the edge of it. Drop some pigment just across here. So it's going to be nice and thick, and then up here as well, so that whenever it dries, it's going to have that nice kind of hardened, not hardened finish, but should have a little bit more depth to it. Now, what I'm going to do as well is actually under, sort of behind this, I'm just going to give a nod to this, is that lighter blue. And it is actually somewhere between the cerulean and the ultramarine. So I'm just going to add in a little bit of this. And I'm just going to just give a slight nod to that. And what I find that happens, now it might just be for me, but that's all I need to indicate that it's there. Now I regret putting that little bit there. So let's do the dab and grab. The dab and grab is where you dry off the brush and then you just lift it up that little bit here. Okay. And then underneath here is where looks like the sun is setting. So we're going to take a little bit of the cadmium yellow, a little bit of the red, mix these two together, and we should arrive quite nicely at just that kind of a tone. So let's just move that along here, just to give a little bit of an indication that that's what's happening. Now there's a little bit of bleed on it's ever so slightly, a little bit of bleed coming from the ink work, which is all right. It's not too bad. It's not too strong. Now that's sitting quite strongly here. Just going to suck that up over that little bit there. Okay, now what we're going to do then is to move on down. Now what actually, sorry, I'm just thinking on my feet here. What it could do is just bring in a little bit more of that, just slightly brighter yellow, just. we're just going to touch it very lightly here, and then let that bleed up and in. And I'll maybe do just a little line of it here. Okay. Okay, now for the sea. Now the sea pretty much is actually the pretty much exactly same tone as what's going on here in the sky, but I'm just going to mix it that little bit stronger. Okay, I'm going to bring it down ever so slightly with this. It's making it a little bit more vibrant. I'm going to take, this is a very, very blue, nearly blue kind of a black here. So what I'm going to do is make this nice and strong right across the top here, because it's a strong, feels to me like a horizontal line here. And I'm going to drop more pigment in so it shoots across there, and then it's going to bring that across here, and then also down this section across here. Now that's bleeding ever so slightly, that's all right. Now what I'm going to do then is I'm going to begin this process of creating this kind of texture of water, which is moving at this angle. If you look at the reference, it's moving at this angle across here. So I'm just going to begin to do that, and this kind of a rocking, if you watch the brush, you maybe see it more better if I do it like this kind of a rocking motion. Just, I don't want that line to be too severe, but just moving this, and then just settling out the lines that bit more, letting them all kind of come in and settle together. And this should really, and actually see the way I'm just letting some of the stronger bits, if I drop it in, it's going to create a really much darker line, which is exactly what I want in certain areas. And then again, just dropping some little bits there. Okay. So a bit more of a splat there. And I'm going to bring this right across to meet together in this section here. Going to leave that little bit of lightness in there. You can actually see some of it is just drying really as we speak. Now if I take off some of the pigment, then I can get some finer lines in if I want to do that. And actually, you want it really finer the further it is away from you, sorry, and then just bringing it in, but letting them join in certain pieces as well, so it gives that kind of a semblance of it being more together, and in some areas than others. And what I can then do is take a little bit, something that's a little bit darker. This one's much darker. Then I'd be able to just drop it in a couple of places. Because the water always has these kind of slightly darker areas that are present where there's more shadow, where the little waves are happening. So I'm just going to bring that in there, just in a couple of places, and letting that bleed down and through. And that'll give us a little bit of that idea. And ladies and gentlemen, now what I will do is just going to take, I don't know whether it's maybe a little bit risky to fill in some of those little sections across there. I mean, we could try, let's give it a go, see if we can get away with it. Just touching in ever so slightly with the corner of some of those little bits of, now do you know what I could use, which would be really handy, is the sword brush. This sword brush is absolutely super for really, really fine work. So it'll pick it up quite nicely. So it's going to let me get in really nice and close to some of those areas there that are, look, I mean, we're working so tight together that it's going to start to bleed ever so slightly. So just want to just touch on some little areas. Now, the other thing that I can do, remember the dab and grab? So all I need to do is dry the brush off. And what that'll do is begin to hoover those little bits up that we don't want to come through too much. But I wanted to show you how really quickly you could tackle the scene. So there you go. That's the actual reference image. And this is what we produced just simply in one layer. And it's just a nice little study to do. The smaller size, I think, always seems to make it feel kind of more like it's easier to just tackle quickly and to tackle in a nice, quick and sketchy, loose kind of way. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of encouragement to go out and, you know, gather some images that you can take back to the studio and try nice and quickly. Now, obviously, I could let that dry and add some more layers into that, but actually, as it sits now, I'm quite happy with where it is. Well, I hope you found that little study, or nearly like a watercolor sketch, really helpful. I find that the size of the paper that I'm using is really important. I've just finished one from Bath, which is more like nearly like an A2 size. I find that very different to working in a sketchbook, to working on an A5 bit of paper like this one, or A4, A3. They're all so different. When I'm working on something small like that, I feel like it's just almost feels like a safer place. I don't know whether you're the same, but I find that the size of the paper is really important, and what it will get from me is very different than what I'll produce if I'm working on something that's much larger. So that was just a quick example or demonstration as to how to tackle something very quickly and simply. So we really had blue and we had a little bit of orange and just a slightly bit of yellow. That's all we had. We just used two simple brushes and one pen. Now the Sealer Fude de Mannon pen, if it's not Sealer Fude de Mannon or whatever way it is, I apologise if I've pronounced it incorrectly. Answers on a postcard. That pen gives me the option of the thick line and the thinner line, which I really love. So I hope that you find that beneficial and encourages you to take photographs and to be able to bring them home and to work on them yourself. So for more information about me, head to woodwardswatercolours.co.uk. That's my website. You'll find information about lots of different things. I'm also offering membership on the channel if that's something that you'd be interested in. It's part of how I'm supporting this channel. So thank you for liking, commenting, and don't forget to subscribe. And also do hit the little bell icon because you'll be notified when new videos are dropping. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you the next time on Woodward's Watercolours. Bye everyone.